Thanks again for being here, guys. Excited to get to practice today. Learned a lot about ourselves in the last game, like we always do, and a lot of good lessons to learn. Some improvement that we saw in rebounding and kind of our defensive mindset, the way that we needed to prepare. I really loved that growth. Had some good offensive moments of ball movement, sharing the basketball, and then just execution down the stretch, understanding time and score, and some things that we need to do a little bit better in that aspect. Taking care of the basketball, transition D, kind of how those things go together in those moments. And our team's still growing in that area, and excited to see us continue to get better at that today at practice.
Do you think that the team is getting better, sort of like from where they were in December and November? Is the team getting better?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, we started really strong when we came back from Christmas, and especially on the offensive end of the floor. And I think as we hit some of our top-ranked teams in the conference, I think our defensive side got exposed a little bit. And I think in each game you've seen growth in the area. We've played different styles of play, which is also, when you're trying to improve on the defensive end of the floor, a fun challenge. And I like the way we approach each game with that mindset to get better and learn. And there's several categories that you could pick out that we could really see some improvement in that would benefit us. And I like the way we've continued to attack those. So I think we go from the time period that you mentioned until now, as we play, arguably one of the best teams in the country. I think you can see that continued growth.
In these Final Four games, I don't think you've play a ranked team, right? But just what is it going to take to beat those sort of ranked teams? Because that seems like that's the next sort of phase for like you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think every team that we play is very good. I mean, it's the Big Ten, and every night anyone can beat anyone, and that's what you're seeing across the conference. And I think adjusting to different styles of play and different, great players and matchups that are created are part of the fun of scouting in the game of basketball. And I think our team's learning to really love that. I think they loved the scouting part these last few games, and that's an area of growth we needed. And so the other is just, I think, also understanding at the end of the game, especially some of it based on some of the decisions I've made from a subbing standpoint, you might be a little bit tired. I think we can increase our depth. That's something that I need to focus on making sure we do. And our student athletes work incredibly hard, and we need to continue to build that depth and make sure that we are rested and as we can be going into the fourth quarter. And then I also just think decision-making down the stretch. We've been in some situations that are new to us. We've been in some situations we've been in before. And so I think we need to take the wisdom learned. We started out the season pretty good in end-of-game situations and really executing in critical moments. And I'd like to bring that confidence back to our team because we're very good, especially the offensive end of the floor. We've had some uncharacteristic moments on offense in late-game situations, and we're very strong from a just efficiency standpoint on that end of the floor, and I think that would help us a lot on the defensive end. So that's the area we'd like to see us continue to grow in.
And just last one for me. I just want to ask you about Xavier. In these past three games here, 24, 21, and 19, I think, right? But she's also, like, the fouls can kind of get to her, right? I think she's fouled out like 5 or 6 games here. And in those games, like, you guys have sort of lost, like, those games. So that fine line, if you could sort of talk about that fine line of being aggressive to where she needs to do the things that she needs to do, but to stay out of foul trouble.
I'd love to, because she's definitely worked so incredibly hard on that. I think early on there's just some aggressiveness fouls because it's how you play. You're an aggressive defender. You're an aggressive offensive player. And then as she studied the film and continued to work in practice, I thought we started limiting those. There's going to be a few in every game for any player that plays aggressively that's a great player. You saw that in our last game for both teams. But I think the thing that's tough is, Xavier has a knack for jumping the ball, right? And she puts herself in that position. Sometimes it is a tough call. And so I think that's the one that we've got to try to continue to grow and learn in what is going to be, late game, okay, and what's not going to be okay. She got a lot of the fouls in the last game at the very end of the game, and so you want to be aggressive at the end, try to jump it up, And so just trying to make those decisions. But you're right, there's been multiple games at the end of game where she's not been on the floor for us. And I just appreciate her mindset. She's such a great learner, and so excited to like understand how she can be better. And so she's just diving into watching film and making sure she continues to get better without taking away her aggressiveness, because we don't want to lose the defender that she is. And she's really special on that end of the floor too.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for the time. I want to kind of build off the learning aspect, with some of your younger players like Savia, like Chloe, like obviously Devin. Like, how valuable is it to, obviously in your first year in the Big Ten, for them to go through this season so they're able to, obviously for their own sake, understand what they're going into next year, but also for your incoming crop to be able to maybe help them learn from that, not only about Big Ten play, but some of these tough games like USC, like all of these games that we've talked about. How valuable is that learning aspect for some of the younger players? Because I know like Delea, she's been through it, stuff like that. Just sort of talking about the learning aspect for your younger group of players.
Yeah, we play a lot of teams in the Big Ten with a lot of graduate seniors, a lot of experience on the floor at times. And, this is an incredible experience. We all know that, you could watch many games where our players can go head to head, and then you get in an end of game situation and there's someone with 5-6 years of experience on the floor. And so that starts being advantageous. If we just look at the development of Savia from year 1 to year 2, I mean, you see tremendous growth in who she is, the leader she is too, and the way she controls the floor and the way she handles the end of games. I mean, just incredible. And so just imagine as she gets older how that feels and how much the game slows down and things like that for any player. And so I think that that's an incredible benefit for us as we've recruited some incredible high school players, and they've got an opportunity to go through the years and continue to learn and develop. And you see that poise even growing through the season, and that's why I'm excited. I appreciate the question Percy asked, because it was you can see the growth from game to game in some scenarios that we've been in before. Okay, well, we've been in this scenario before, and you can feel the kind of deep breath, like, oh yeah, we're ready for this, we're prepared. And so that's been really great to have those opportunities together.
A smaller thing, you mentioned your recruiting class. How nice was it? I know you were busy with the game itself, but to have Bryn McGoy, in attendance and maybe show her, I don't know how much time she had here, but to just have her in the building to see what this crowd can be like.
So much fun, yeah. She's an incredible human, and so I think she was surprised. Some people came up after and asked her for autographs and stuff, and so I appreciate how much the state of Washington knows, the talent that has come out of the state, and our fan base is so educated and so smart, and so it was fun to have them just embrace her, and then for her to be able to be in the environment and see what it's going to feel like. And she's someone who loves the game, studies the game. She's always talking basketball, which is a great sign of the kind of player she's going to be. And so everyone sees her talent, but you're also equally excited about her mind. And obviously we know she's an incredible fit for us character-wise.
I know you touched earlier about the rebounding. I want to specifically ask you about your guards crashing the glass. I mean, there have been, I think, a good amount of games this year where it's like a L or a Savia as your leading rebounder. Mm-hmm. Just when you're maybe a little bit smaller per se, and especially when you run in the 4-guard lineup to start things, how happy have you been just, I guess, recently with the way your guards have crashed the glass?
Really excited for that. I mean, it was part of what we wanted to do better this game. I really appreciate it. I think it was Hannah that really had a really big night on the boards. And, I think we have a lot of guards that could do that. I still think we have more to give there. And so I think it's something that we're excited to keep working on in practice, because we've seen Elle have just monster nights on the boards. Hannah can rebound. You've seen Chloe. Somehow Savia gets an O board every now and then, which makes us laugh. I'm kidding. But, there's a lot of guards on our team that can provide us some help in that area.
Sticking with sort of the smaller lineup, I know you've been asked about it before with Tyra shifting to the bench. How have you seen her respond? Obviously, she's an older player per se, but how have you just seen her respond and in her mindset about it? Because she's played some valuable minutes off the bench for you since going to that smaller lineup.
She's an incredible human. So she was immediately, whatever's best for the team, and I think understands, there's times and lineups that give you different looks offensively and defensively, and there's times we went with 2 bigs in the last game, and had not done that in a while, and so she just works very hard. She's continuing to watch the game and learning and growing in that way, and But she's had a great mindset about it and continue to improve and get better.
And then last one for me, I just want to go back to sort of the learning. You talked about Savia's jump from last year to this year. Just going off of seeing them interact with each other, whether it's here or on the court, how big has Elle been to Savia? Just, I know she's only, I think, a year above her, so it's not too much older, but just how much of maybe a mentor or a valuable learning, person that she's been in Savia's growth.
I think what's special about Elle is that she's just a connector. She walks in the room and everyone feels welcome. And so everyone feels excited, and she just brings a joy and a light to the room that makes you feel comfortable. You can be yourself, and I'd say that is our team. But Elle is definitely gifted in that area. She's definitely someone that she's going to know your name. She's going to know about your family. She's just a person who deeply cares, and I think that that's again very similar to our team. And so grateful for the young women that we have in our program and the way that they just invite people in, and I think it lets us be our best selves.
How about that catch there?
It was really good.
Hey, obviously every team is different, but is there anything that you guys can maybe learn from like last year, where like it feels like you were in that same position last year? I think you finished like it was that one, like we bet. So you're like that one game out from like getting to the tournament. I think you finished like 50th in the net. This year you're 49 in the net, and it feels like you're same thing. Here we are again,
Right.
needing like a win or two to get that into your turn. What can you learn from last year that can maybe help you in these next 2 to 3 weeks?
That's a great question. I think last year we had moments similar to this year, and we've had some winnable games for us. Games that we can look back and say there was so many things that we could have done. There wasn't like the one thing, and there's so much growth there. And what we're learning to do is be excited about that and not let it discourage us. I said this last night when someone asked me, there is nothing wrong with being sad or being discouraged after a loss, because we're competitors. But when you can turn the page the next day and really own and be accountable and then be excited to be better, well, that's special. And this team has shown that this year. I think you can see that. There's been a couple of tough possession games, and they've been ready the next day, the next game. And so I think we're just learning that we can do hard things. And what makes the difference is probably just, how quickly do we grow, and how do we do in spreading belief for each other. One of the things we talk about is, do people believe more because you're in the room? Do people believe more because you're on the floor? And it starts with your belief in your own ability and the belief that you have in each other. And so I think if we can continue to grow that, that's also really special for this team.